take a slow breath and allow your thoughts to settle. Tonight, we're going to travel somewhere timeless and steady. Somewhere that rises patiently from the surface of the earth and reminds us how small and yet how connected we truly are. Tonight, we're exploring mountains. Mountains are among the oldest storytellers on our planet. Long before cities, before borders, before written history, mountains were already standing. Shaped quietly by forces deep within the earth, they rise without hurry, and they change without noise. This makes them perfect companions for calm, learning, and gentle rest. As you listen, there's nothing you need to remember. Nothing you need to stay awake for. Just let the facts drift past you like clouds crossing a high ridge. If you enjoy this kind of peaceful geography, you're welcome to gently like the video or subscribe, but only if it feels right. And if you're awake enough, you can leave a comment sharing your country, your city, and the time you're listening. Many people find comfort knowing others around the world are listening too. Now, let's begin at the very beginning. Mountains form through processes that take millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of years. The most common process is called plate tectonics. The Earth's surface is broken into large pieces called tectonic plates. These plates move slowly, about as fast as fingernails grow. When two plates collide, the land can crumple and fold upward, creating mountain ranges. The Himalayas, home to Mount Everest, are still growing today. The Indian plate continues to push northward into the Eurasian plate, lifting the land a tiny bit higher each year. It's one of the few places on Earth where we can clearly see mountains in the process of being born. Other mountains form when plates pull apart. In these places, magma rises from deep within the earth and solidifies, creating volcanic mountains. Iceland is a beautiful example, sitting directly on a plate boundary where new land is constantly forming. Some mountains are carved not by collision or fire, but by time. Erosion, driven by wind, rain, ice, and gravity, slowly shapes plateaus into rugged peaks. The Appalachian Mountains in North America are an example of very old mountains. They were once as tall as the Himalayas, but have been worn down over hundreds of millions of years. Because of this, mountains tell us the geological age of a region. Sharp, jagged peaks are usually younger, while rounded, softer mountains are often much older. Mountains influence far more than scenery. They shape weather patterns by forcing air to rise and cool, causing rain and snow on one side and dry conditions on the other. This is known as the rain shadow effect. It's why lush forests often sit next to dry deserts. They also shape rivers. Many of the world's great rivers, including the Ganges, the Yangtze, and the Amazon's tributaries, begin in mountain regions. Snow and glaciers act as natural water storage, slowly releasing water throughout the year. Glaciers themselves are another quiet force of mountain landscapes. These slow-moving rivers of ice-carved valleys transport rock and leave behind fertile soil. Even after glaciers retreat, their marks remain visible for thousands of years. Mountains are also centers of biodiversity. As elevation increases, temperature drops, creating layered ecosystems stacked one above another. This allows many species to live in a relatively small area, each adapted to specific conditions. Human cultures have long been shaped by mountains. They act as natural borders, influence languages, and preserve traditions by isolating communities. Many ancient trade routes pass through mountain passes, making these landscapes important for early economies and cultural exchange. Today, mountains remain important to global travel and tourism. Alpine villages, trekking routes, luxury mountain resorts, and protected national parks all contribute to local economies. At the same time, mountains remind us of the importance of conservation, as many are fragile environments sensitive to climate change. The tallest mountain on Earth depends on how you measure it. Mount Everest is the highest above sea level, but Mauna Kea in Hawaii is taller when measured from its base on the ocean floor. This gentle fact reminds us that perspective matters, even in geography. As you imagine standing at the base of a mountain, there is a feeling of stillness. Mountains don't rush. They don't demand attention. They simply exist, steady and patient, inviting us to slow down as well. As we continue, imagine the planet from far above, its surface slowly shifting over immense spans of time. Mountains, in many ways, are the Earth's memory made visible. Some are young and restless, still rising. Others are ancient, softened by wind and rain, holding stories from a distant past. Let's begin with the oldest mountain ranges on Earth. The Appalachian Mountains stretch along the eastern edge of North America. Today, they appear gentle and rounded, covered in forests and winding roads. But more than 300 million years ago, they were towering giants, formed when ancient continents collided to create the supercontinent, Pangaea. Over time, erosion smoothed their peaks, turning sharp ridges into rolling hills. Because of their age, the Appalachians are rich in minerals and coal, which played a significant role in the industrial development of the United States. Mountain geology often shapes local economies, influencing where people settle, work, and build infrastructure. Across the Atlantic, similar aged mountains appear in Scotland and Scandinavia. These ranges were once connected to the Appalachians before continental drifts separated them. This shared geological history shows how mountains can link continents long after they drift apart. In contrast, the Alps of Europe are much younger. Formed around 30 million years ago, they rose when the African plate pushed into the Eurasian plate. Their dramatic peaks, glaciers, and deep valleys have shaped European culture, travel, and tourism for centuries. Alpine passes became key trade routes, while mountain villages developed unique languages and traditions. The Alps also played an important role in scientific history. Early geologists studied their rock layers to better understand Earth's structure. Mountaineering, too, became popular here, blending adventure, luxury tourism, and natural exploration. Moving east, the Ural Mountains run north to south through Russia, traditionally marking the boundary between Europe and Asia, unlike many ranges. The Urals are not particularly tall, but they are extremely old. Rich in metals and gemstones, they have long supported mining and economic development. Farther south, the Atlas Mountains stretch across North Africa. These mountains influence climate by separating the Mediterranean coast from the Sahara Desert. Their slopes support agriculture, while their peaks host communities that have preserved Amazigh, or Berber, cultural traditions for thousands of years. Mountains often create natural refuges, During periods of conflict or climate change, people have retreated into highlands where isolation offered protection. This is why mountain regions frequently preserve ancient customs, music, and architecture. In Asia, the Tian Shan Mountains, meaning heavenly mountains, stretch across Central Asia. Snow-fed rivers from these peaks supported Silk Road civilizations, enabling trade between East and West. Even today, these mountains influence modern transportation routes and energy infrastructure. One fascinating feature of ancient mountains is their soil. Over millions of years, erosion breaks rock into mineral-rich earth. This supports dense forests and agriculture, especially in temperate climates. Many famous wine regions and farming areas sit near old mountain ranges. Mountains also influence national identity. They appear on flags, in poetry, and in religious traditions. Mount Fuji in Japan, though volcanic and relatively young, has become a cultural symbol representing beauty, endurance, and spiritual balance. Despite their stability, mountains are not permanent. Given enough time, all mountains will erode. The sand on beaches and the silt in river deltas often began as rock high in distant peaks. This slow recycling is part of Earth's continuous process of renewal. As night settles in, it can be comforting to remember that mountains rise and fall on timescales far beyond human worry. They remind us that change does not need to be rushed, and that even the tallest peaks eventually soften. As we move gently onward, let your attention drift upward again, not to the peaks themselves, but to the air that flows around them. Mountains do not only shape the land, they shape the sky, the weather, and the rhythms of rain and snow that sustain life far below. One of the most important ways mountains influence climate is through something called orographic lift. When moist air moves toward a mountain range, it is forced upward. As the air rises, it cools, and the moisture within it condenses into clouds and precipitation. This is why the windward side of many mountains receives heavy rainfall. The leeward side, by contrast, often lies in a rain shadow. Here, descending air becomes warmer and drier, creating arid landscapes. The dramatic difference between lush green slopes and nearby deserts can often be traced to this simple atmospheric process. The Andes Mountains provide one of the clearest examples. Moist air from the Atlantic travels westward across South America, dropping rain on the eastern slopes. By the time the air crosses the peaks, little moisture remains. This contributes to the existence of the Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, on the western side. In North America, the Rocky Mountains shape weather patterns across the continent. Snowmelt from their peaks feeds major rivers like the Colorado, Columbia, and Missouri. These rivers support agriculture, cities, and ecosystems across vast distances, linking mountain snowfall to food, security, and economic stability. Mountains also influence global wind patterns. The Himalayas and the Tibetan Plateau play a key role in shaping the Asian monsoon. During summer, the land heats up, drawing moist air inland from the oceans. The massive elevation of these mountains intensifies this effect, leading to seasonal rains that sustain billions of people. In winter, the process reverses. Cold, dry air flows outward from the high plateau, bringing drier conditions to much of South and Southeast Asia. This seasonal breathing of the atmosphere is essential to regional climate balance. High mountains create their own microclimates. A single slope can host multiple ecological zones, from warm foothills to alpine tundra. This vertical diversity allows many species to thrive in close proximity, increasing biodiversity. Temperature drops with altitude at an average rate of about 6.5 degrees Celsius per 1,000 meters. This means that a mountain can recreate the climate of far northern latitudes within a short horizontal distance. As a result, mountains act as refuges for cold-adapted species during periods of global warming. Cloud forests are a unique result of mountain weather. Found in tropical highlands, these forests are constantly bathed in mist. Moisture comes not only from rain, but also from clouds drifting through the trees. These ecosystems support rare plants, orchids, and amphibians found nowhere else. Mountains also influence storms. They can weaken hurricanes by disrupting their circulation, or intensify rainfall during passing weather systems. In some regions, this leads to frequent landslides and floods, reminding us that mountains, while beautiful, can also be powerful forces. Snow stored in mountain ranges acts like a natural reservoir. Slowly melting over spring and summer, it releases water when lowland regions need it most. This natural timing supports agriculture, hydroelectric power, and urban water supplies. As climate change alters snowfall patterns, many regions face uncertainty. Reduced snowpack means less water in warmer months. This highlights the importance of mountain conservation and sustainable water management in a changing world. At night, as temperatures drop, mountain air cools quickly. Cold air flows downhill, settling into valleys. This gentle movement creates the calm nighttime winds that many mountain towns know well, carrying the scent of pine and stone. In this quiet exchange between land and sky, mountains act as mediators, guiding air and water across the planet. They breathe slowly, shaping climates over centuries. As the night deepens, let your thoughts follow a thin thread of water forming high above the world, where cold stone meets snow and sky. Many of Earth's greatest rivers begin not as wide, powerful currents, but as quiet trickles born in mountain heights. Mountains are often called the world's water towers. Snowfall and glaciers store fresh water over long periods, releasing it slowly through melting. This steady flow feeds rivers that travel thousands of kilometers, nourishing ecosystems, cities, and civilizations along the way. The Indus, Yangtze, Yellow, Mekong, and Ganges rivers all originate in the mountains of Asia. Their headwaters rise in regions where glaciers and seasonal snowmelt provide reliable sources of fresh water. Together, these rivers support more than a third of the world's population, linking distant coastal cities directly to high-altitude ice. In South America, the Amazon River system begins its journey in the Andes. Although the Amazon is famous for its immense width and volume, its earliest streams are narrow mountain channels, flowing through steep valleys carved by erosion over millions of years. Mountain rivers are typically fast-moving in their upper courses. Steep slopes increase water velocity, allowing rivers to cut deeply into rock. This erosive power shapes valleys, gorges, and canyons, such as the dramatic landscapes seen in the Himalayas and the European Alps as rivers descend. their energy gradually decreases. Sediment carried from mountain erosion is deposited downstream, creating fertile floodplains. This natural process supports agriculture, contributing to regional economies and food security across continents. Glaciers play a particularly important role in mountain hydrology. These massive rivers of ice form where snowfall accumulates faster than it melts. Over time, compacted snow becomes ice, slowly flowing downhill under its own weight. Glaciers sculpt mountains in distinctive ways. They carve U-shaped valleys, sharpen peaks into horns, and leave behind ridges called moraines. Famous examples include the Matterhorn in the Alps and the dramatic fjords of Norway, which were carved by ancient glaciers extending into the sea. Even small glaciers can influence water supply. During dry seasons or droughts, glacier meltwater can sustain river flow when rainfall is scarce. This buffering effect is crucial for communities that rely on consistent water availability. However, glaciers are sensitive indicators of climate change. Rising global temperatures have caused widespread glacier retreat in mountain ranges worldwide. As glaciers shrink, short-term water flow may increase, followed by long-term decline once the ice reserves are depleted. This creates a challenge for long-term planning. Regions dependent on glacier-fed rivers must adapt to changing water availability, balancing tourism, agriculture, energy production, and urban growth. Mountain lakes often form where glaciers once flowed. As ice retreats, it leaves depressions that fill with meltwater. These lakes, sometimes called tarns or cirque lakes, are common in high-altitude regions and are known for their clear, cold water. Some of the world's most iconic lakes owe their existence to mountain geology. Lake Geneva, Lake Tahoe, and Lake Titicaca all sit within mountain basins shaped by tectonic and glacial forces. These lakes support tourism, biodiversity, and local economies. Ice also plays a role beyond glaciers. Seasonal snowpack acts as a temporary reservoir, storing winter precipitation and releasing it gradually. This slow release prevents sudden flooding and ensures a steady water supply during warmer months. Mountains influence groundwater as well. Meltwater seeps into fractured rock, replenishing aquifers that provide drinking water to millions. Springs emerging from mountain slopes have long been valued for their purity and reliability. In many cultures, mountain springs are considered sacred. Their consistent flow symbolizes life, continuity, and renewal. Even today, bottled water brands often emphasize mountain origins to suggest cleanliness and natural balance. As water journeys downward, it carries minerals from the rock it passes over. These minerals enrich soils and shape the chemistry of rivers and oceans. In this way, mountains quietly influence life far beyond their immediate surroundings. From ice crystal to river mouth, the path of mountain water is slow, patient, and essential. It reminds us that the highest places on earth quietly serve the lowest, sustaining life across vast distances. As you settle more deeply into rest, imagine the thin, quiet air of high mountains, where life moves at a gentler pace and every breath feels deliberate. Despite harsh conditions, mountains are home to remarkably diverse forms of life, each shaped by altitude, climate, and time. One of the defining features of mountain environments is the change in conditions over short distances. As elevation increases, temperatures drop, air pressure decreases, and oxygen becomes scarcer. This creates distinct ecological zones stacked like layers, often compared to traveling from the equator to the poles in just a few kilometers. At lower elevations, mountain foothills may support forests similar to nearby lowlands. As you climb higher, trees become shorter and more widely spaced, forming subalpine forests. Beyond a certain point, known as the tree line, trees can no longer survive. Above the tree line, alpine meadows take over. These landscapes are filled with low-growing plants adapted to cold, wind, and intense sunlight. Many alpine flowers bloom quickly during short summers, producing vibrant colors that contrast beautifully with surrounding rock and snow. Plants at high altitude often grow close to the ground. This reduces exposure to wind and helps retain heat. Thick leaves, waxy coatings, and deep root systems are common adaptations that conserve moisture and protect against freezing temperatures. Some mountain plants have medicinal or economic value. Alpine herbs are used in traditional medicine and modern pharmaceuticals, linking mountain biodiversity to global healthcare and wellness industries. Animal life in the mountains is equally specialized. Species such as mountain goats, ibex, and bighorn sheep are built for steep terrain. Their hooves provide exceptional grip on rocky surfaces, allowing them to navigate cliffs that seem impossible to climb. Thick fur and layered insulation help mountain animals survive cold temperatures. Many species also have compact bodies, reducing surface area and conserving heat. Seasonal migrations allow animals to move to lower elevations during harsh winters. Birds thrive in mountain environments as well. Eagles, vultures, and condors use rising air currents to glide effortlessly along slopes. These large birds play important roles in ecosystems, helping control populations and recycle nutrients. Some animals have adapted to low oxygen levels. High-altitude mammals often have larger lungs, increased red blood cell counts, or more efficient oxygen use. These biological changes allow them to remain active where oxygen is scarce. Humans, too, have adapted to life in the mountains. Communities in the Andes, Himalayas, and the Ethiopian highlands have lived at high altitude for thousands of years. Over generations, they have developed physiological traits that improve oxygen delivery and circulation. Culturally, mountain societies often emphasize cooperation and resilience. Steep terrain and limited resources encourage strong community bonds and shared labor. Traditional farming methods, such as terracing, allow crops to grow on slopes while reducing erosion. Mountain agriculture often focuses on hardy crops. Potatoes, barley, and quinoa are well suited to cooler temperatures and shorter growing seasons. These crops have become global staples, contributing to food security far beyond their mountain origins. Livestock adapted to altitude, such as yaks, llamas, and alpacas, provide meat, milk, wool, and transportation. Their role in mountain economies highlights the connection between geography, culture, and sustainable livelihoods. Mountains have also inspired spiritual traditions. Many cultures view peaks as sacred places, closer to the sky or the divine. Pilgrimages to mountain temples and shrines remain important cultural practices today. Modern tourism has brought new opportunities and challenges to mountain regions. Hiking, skiing, and scenic travel attract visitors seeking nature and adventure. These industries support local economies, but require careful management to protect fragile ecosystems. Technology has changed mountain life as well. Improved infrastructure, communication, and renewable energy projects, such as hydropower, connect remote areas to global networks while raising questions about environmental balance. Despite these changes, the core rhythm of mountain life remains shaped by altitude, weather, and landscape. Life here teaches patience, adaptation, and respect for natural limits. As your breathing slows, imagine vast mountain ranges standing quietly beneath drifting clouds, gently shaping the movement of air and water across the planet. Mountains do far more than rise above the land. They actively influence climate, weather patterns, and the availability of fresh water for billions of people. When moist air travels across the earth, mountains act as natural barriers. As air is forced upward along a mountain slope, it cools. Cooler air holds less moisture, causing water vapor to condense and fall as rain or snow. This process is known as orographic precipitation. Because of this effect, one side of a mountain range is often much wetter than the other. The windward side receives frequent rainfall, supporting forests, rivers, and fertile soils. The leeward side, where air descends and warms, is often dry and arid, creating what is called a rain shadow. Some of the world's driest deserts exist because of mountain rain shadows. The Atacama Desert in South America lies behind the Andes, while parts of Central Asia are shielded by massive ranges like the Himalayas and the Tian Shan. These geographic features quietly shape entire ecosystems and civilizations. Mountains also influence global wind patterns. Large ranges can redirect jet streams, the fast-moving air currents high in the atmosphere. These shifts affect seasonal weather, storm paths, and even long-term climate trends. Snow and ice stored in mountains act as natural reservoirs. During colder months, precipitation accumulates as snowpack and glaciers. When temperatures rise, this frozen water melts slowly, feeding rivers throughout the year. This steady release of meltwater is essential for agriculture, cities, and industry. Major rivers such as the Indus, Ganges, Yangtze, Rhine, and Colorado all originate in mountain regions. In this way, mountains quietly support global economies, food production, and daily life. In many regions, mountain snowpack determines water security. A light snowfall one winter can lead to drought months later. Climate scientists carefully monitor mountain snow and ice to predict water availability and manage resources. Mountains also create microclimates. Conditions can vary dramatically over short distances, with sunny slopes, shaded valleys, warm pockets, and icy ridges existing side by side. This diversity supports a wide range of plant and animal life. Temperature generally drops as altitude increases, roughly 6.5 degrees Celsius for every 1,000 meters. This predictable pattern allows scientists to study climate change by observing how ecosystems shift upward over time. As global temperatures rise, many species move higher in search of cooler conditions. However, mountains have limited space at the top. When species reach the summit with nowhere else to go, they face increased risk of extinction. Glaciers, formed over centuries, are among the most sensitive indicators of climate change. Around the world, mountain glaciers are retreating. Their loss affects sea levels, river flow, and long-term water supply. Despite these challenges, mountains can also help moderate climate extremes. Forested slopes absorb carbon dioxide, regulate temperature, and reduce the impact of floods and landslides. Healthy mountain ecosystems act as natural climate stabilizers. Human societies have long relied on mountains for climate benefits. High-altitude regions often provide cooler retreats during hot seasons, influencing tourism, settlement patterns, and even luxury travel destinations. Traditional knowledge plays a role in mountain climate adaptation. Indigenous communities have observed weather patterns for generations, developing techniques to predict snowfall, manage water, and protect crops. Modern technology now complements this wisdom. Satellite monitoring, climate models, and weather stations improve forecasting and disaster preparedness in mountain regions. Yet, despite advanced tools, mountains remain places of mystery. Sudden storms, shifting winds, and rapid weather changes remind us that these landscapes operate on their own quiet terms. As you rest, consider how mountains silently shape rain that falls far away, rivers that nourish distant cities, and climates that influence entire continents. As the night deepens, let your thoughts drift across the earth, following long chains of mountains that stretch over continents like slow-moving waves frozen in stone. These great mountain ranges are not only geographic features, they are living records of Earth's history, climate, and human culture. The Himalayas are the highest mountain range on the planet. Formed by the ongoing collision between the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates, they continue to rise by a few millimeters each year. Mount Everest, their tallest peak, stands as a symbol of endurance, patience, and deep geological time. On their height, the Himalayas play a critical role in shaping climate across Asia. They block cold winds from the north and help guide monsoon systems that bring seasonal rains to millions of people. Rivers born from Himalayan glaciers support agriculture, cities, and economies across South and Southeast Asia. Moving west, the Alps curve gracefully across Europe. Though lower than the Himalayas, they are among the most studied mountain ranges in the world. Their sharp peaks, carved valleys, and glacial lakes have shaped European climate, trade routes, and cultural identity for centuries. The Alps helped define national borders, inspired artists and poets, and became early centers of tourism and winter sports. Today, they remain a hub for sustainable travel, scientific research, and environmental protection. Across the Atlantic, the Andes form the longest continental mountain range on Earth, stretching over 7,000 kilometers along. South America's western edge, they host deserts, rainforests, glaciers, and high-altitude plateaus. The Andes played a central role in the rise of ancient civilizations, such as the Inca Empire. High mountain terraces allowed farming in thin air, while sophisticated road systems connected distant regions. Even today, traditional agricultural practices continue alongside modern cities. In North America, the Rocky Mountains rise like a backbone from Canada to the southwestern United States. Their formation began tens of millions of years ago, and their rugged terrain has shaped migration, settlement, and economic development. The Rockies influence weather across the continent, dividing moist Pacific air from drier interior climates. Snow melt from these mountains feeds major rivers that support agriculture, industry, and urban life. To the east, the Appalachian Mountains tell a quieter story. Much older and more worn down, they once rivaled today's tallest ranges. Over hundreds of millions of years, erosion softened their peaks into rolling ridges and valleys. Despite their age, the Appalachians are rich in biodiversity. Ancient forests shelter countless species, some found nowhere else on Earth. These mountains remind us that height is not the only measure of significance. In Africa, the Atlas Mountains stretch across the northwest, separating the Mediterranean coast from the Sahara Desert. They influence rainfall patterns and have long served as cultural crossroads between civilizations. Farther south, the Ethiopian highlands rise dramatically, earning the name the Roof of Africa. These volcanic plateaus give birth to the Blue Nile, one of the most historically important rivers in the world. Asia is home to other vast ranges as well. The Tian Shan, Hindu Kush, and Karakoram form complex networks of peaks and valleys that shape regional climate and trade routes. Some of the world's largest glaciers outside the polar regions are found here. In Oceania, mountain ranges tend to be smaller, but no less important. New Zealand's southern Alps, formed by a tectonic uplift, create dramatic landscapes of sharp peaks and deep fjords. They play a vital role in water supply and tourism. Even Antarctica, often imagined as flat ice, contains mountain ranges hidden beneath glaciers. The Transantarctic Mountains divide the continent and influence ice flow, offering scientists clues about Earth's deep past. Each mountain range carries its own rhythm. Some rise rapidly, others erode slowly. Some dominate skylines, while others blend gently into the horizon. Together, they form a global network of stone that shapes climate, ecosystems, and human history. As you rest, imagine these ranges quietly standing under the stars, unchanged by our thoughts, yet deeply connected to our lives. As your breathing slows, allow your thoughts to rise gently toward the high places of the world. Mountains have always held a special meaning for humanity, far beyond their physical presence. Across cultures and centuries, people have looked up at peaks and felt something quiet but powerful awaken inside them. One reason mountains feel so significant is their sense of permanence. While cities grow and fade, and coastlines slowly shift, mountains seem timeless. Even though geology tells us they are always changing, to the human eye, they appear steady, patient, and enduring. This illusion of permanence has made mountains symbols of stability and wisdom in many traditions. In ancient cultures, mountains were often seen as bridges between earth and sky. The Greeks believed Mount Olympus was the home of the gods, a place beyond ordinary human reach. In Hindu and Buddhist traditions, Mount Meru is described as the spiritual center of the universe. These beliefs reflect a shared instinct. Height feels closer to something greater than ourselves. Mountains also offer silence. As elevation increases, familiar sounds fade away. Traffic, machinery, and human noise give way to wind, distant birds, and the subtle movement of snow or stone. This quiet has long drawn monks, hermits, and seekers who wished to think clearly or meditate deeply. In a modern world, mountains continue to attract travelers seeking peace and perspective. Tourism in mountainous regions has grown steadily, with people drawn to hiking trails, alpine villages, and scenic viewpoints. These journeys support local economies while offering visitors a chance to slow down and reconnect with nature. Climbing mountains, whether physically or symbolically, often represents personal growth. The effort required to ascend mirrors inner challenges. Step by step, breath by breath, climbers learn patience and humility. Even those who never reach the summit often describe the journey itself as transformative. Not all connections to mountains involve climbing. Many cultures live alongside mountains, adapting daily life to steep terrain and thin air. In places like Nepal, Peru, and Switzerland, communities have developed unique architecture, agriculture, and traditions shaped by elevation. Terraced farming is one example of human ingenuity inspired by mountains. By carving flat steps into steep slopes, farmers create fertile land that reduces erosion and conserves water. These terraces are both practical and beautiful, blending human design with natural form. Mountains also shape storytelling and art. Painters have long tried to capture their scale and light, while writers use them as metaphors for challenge, isolation, or clarity. In music, mountains often symbolize longing or freedom, echoing the wide spaces they create in the landscape. Even science reflects our fascination with peaks. High-altitude observatories are built on mountains because thinner air allows clearer views of the universe. In this way, mountains help us look outward, not just inward, connecting earth science with astronomy and technology. There is also a biological response to mountains. Studies suggest that spending time in elevated natural environments can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and improve mental clarity. Clean air, open views, and gentle physical movement all contribute to a sense of calm. Yet mountains can also remind us of humility. Weather changes quickly at high elevations. Storms form without warning, and temperatures drop sharply. These conditions teach respect for nature's power and limits, lessons that have been passed down through generations. Sacred mountains exist on every continent. Mount Fuji in Japan, Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Mount Sinai in the Middle East, and Uluru in Australia all hold deep cultural meaning. Even when climbing is restricted or forbidden, the presence of these mountains shapes identity and tradition. In literature and film, mountains often mark turning points. Characters cross ranges to begin new chapters or stand on summits to reflect on their journeys. These moments resonate because they mirror our own inner landscapes. As you rest now, imagine standing quietly at the base of a mountain at dusk. The air is cool, the sky wide, and nothing asks anything of you. The mountain does not need to be conquered or understood. It simply exists, offering its calm presence. As your thoughts drift gently onward, let us turn our attention to one of the quietest but most powerful roles mountains play on Earth beyond. Their beauty and symbolism, mountains shape the movement of air, clouds, rain, and rivers, influencing life far beyond their slopes. When wind meets a mountain range, it is forced upward. As air rises, it cools, and cooler air cannot hold as much moisture. This causes water vapor to condense into clouds and eventually fall as rain or snow. This process is known as orographic precipitation, and it explains why one side of a mountain range is often lush and green, while the other may be dry. The windward side of a mountain receives most of the rainfall. Forests thrive here, rivers are fed, and ecosystems grow dense and diverse. On the leeward side, descending air warms and dries, creating what is called a rain shadow. Famous deserts, such as the Atacama in South America and parts of the Great Basin in North America. Mountains are sometimes called the world's water towers. Snow and ice accumulate at high elevations during colder months, storing fresh water in frozen form. As temperatures rise in spring and summer, this snow melts slowly, releasing water into rivers and streams over time, rather than all at once. This gradual release is essential for agriculture, cities, and ecosystems downstream. Major rivers, such as the Indus, Yangtze, Rhine, and Colorado, all begin in mountain regions. Hundreds of millions of people depend on mountain-fed water for drinking, irrigation, and industry. Glaciers play a particularly important role in this system. Even small mountain glaciers act as natural reservoirs, supplying water during dry seasons. As climate patterns change, scientists closely monitor these glaciers because their retreat affects water security and long-term planning. Mountains also influence temperature patterns. Higher elevations are cooler, which creates vertical climate zones. A single mountain can host tropical vegetation at its base, temperate forests at mid-levels, and alpine tundra near its summit. This compressed range of climates supports extraordinary biodiversity. Cloud forests are a unique result of mountain weather. Found at mid-elevations in tropical regions, these forests are constantly bathed in mist. Moisture condenses directly on leaves, feeding plants even when rainfall is light. These ecosystems are rich in orchids, mosses, and rare species found nowhere else. Mountains can also guide storms. Ranges like the Rockies and the Alps steer weather systems, influencing where storms intensify or weaken. In winter, mountains create snowfall patterns that support tourism, winter sports, and local economies built around seasonal travel. Avalanches, though dangerous, are another reminder of how mountains interact with weather. Heavy snowfall combined with wind and temperature changes can destabilize snow layers. Understanding these processes has led to advances in safety, technology, and forecasting. High winds are common in mountain passes and ridges. As air funnels through narrow gaps, wind speeds increase. These winds have shaped architecture, clothing, traditions, and even language in mountain cultures over centuries. Mountains also affect sunlight. Slopes facing the sun warm earlier in the day and longer through the seasons. This difference influences where crops are planted and where villages are built. Vineyards, for example, often appear on sun-facing mountain slopes, combining geography with luxury tourism and regional culture. The presence of mountains can even influence cloud formation far away. By lifting air masses and altering atmospheric circulation, large ranges affect continental climate patterns. The Himalayas, for instance, play a role in shaping the Asian monsoon, which impacts billions of lives. Despite their size, mountains are sensitive to change. Shifts in temperature can alter snowlines, rainfall timing, and river flow. Scientists study mountain climates closely because they act as early indicators of broader environmental trends. At night, cold air flows downhill into valleys, creating temperature inversions. This phenomenon explains why valley floors can be colder than higher slopes after sunset. Traditional mountain settlements often take advantage of this knowledge, placing homes where temperatures remain more stable. As you listen, imagine water beginning its journey high above the clouds. A snowflake settles quietly on a ridge, waits through the season, then melts into a stream. That stream joins others, becomes a river, and eventually reaches the sea. All of it begins with the quiet work of mountains. As your mind settles into a calm rhythm, let us gently explore the living world that calls the mountains home. High elevations may seem harsh and unforgiving, yet they support some of the most remarkable plants and animals on Earth, each shaped by thin air, cold temperatures, and intense sunlight. One of the first challenges of mountain life is oxygen. As elevation increases, air pressure drops, meaning less oxygen is available with every breath. Many mountain animals have adapted with larger lungs, higher red blood cell counts, or more efficient oxygen use. These quiet biological changes allow them to move with ease where humans often struggle. The snow leopard is one of the most famous high-altitude animals. Living in the mountains of Central Asia, it is perfectly adapted to steep terrain and cold climates. Its thick fur, wide paws, and long tail provide warmth, balance, and camouflage against rocky slopes. In the Andes, the vicuna and the llama thrive at elevations where few other large mammals can survive. Their blood binds oxygen efficiently, and their thick coats protect them from freezing nights. For centuries, these animals have supported local economies through sustainable fiber production. Mountain goats, found in North America, possess specially shaped hooves with rough pads that grip rock surfaces. This allows them to navigate nearly vertical cliffs with calm precision. Watching such animals move can feel almost meditative, a reminder of how life adapts quietly and patiently. Birds also flourish in high places. The bar-headed goose is known for its incredible migrations over the Himalayas, flying at altitudes where oxygen levels are extremely low. It times its flight to take advantage of wind patterns, conserving energy over vast distances. Plants in mountain regions face different challenges. Cold temperatures shorten growing seasons, strong winds dry out soil, and ultraviolet radiation is more intense. To survive, many alpine plants grow low to the ground, forming cushions that trap heat and reduce wind exposure. Some mountain flowers bloom brilliantly for only a short time, taking full advantage of brief summers. These bursts of color attract pollinators quickly, ensuring reproduction before conditions change. The delicate beauty of alpine meadows is the result of careful timing and efficiency. Trees also change with elevation. The tree line marks the highest point where trees can grow, determined by temperature and wind. Above this line, shrubs and grasses replace forests, creating open landscapes shaped by snow and sky. In tropical mountains, biodiversity can be especially rich. As elevation changes, species shift rapidly, creating layers of ecosystems stacked vertically. Insects, though small, play crucial roles in mountain ecosystems. Cold-adapted butterflies, beetles, and bees pollinate plants and recycle nutrients. Some species have antifreeze-like chemicals in their bodies, allowing them to survive freezing temperatures. Humans living in mountain regions have also adapted biologically and culturally. Populations in the Himalayas and Andes show genetic traits that support life at high altitude, including efficient oxygen processing and larger lung capacity. These adaptations developed over thousands of years. Mountain agriculture often focuses on hardy crops. Potatoes, first cultivated in the Andes, are well suited to cool climates and thin soils. Today, they are a global food staple, illustrating how mountain knowledge has shaped world cuisine and economy. Seasonal movement is another adaptation. Many animals migrate up and down mountains as seasons change, following food availability and safer conditions. This vertical migration is a quiet rhythm repeated year after year. Despite their resilience, mountain species are sensitive to environmental shifts. As temperatures rise, plants and animals may move higher in search of suitable conditions. When they reach the top, there may be nowhere else to go, making conservation efforts especially important. Protected mountain areas support both biodiversity and sustainable tourism. Carefully managed travel allows people to experience these environments while supporting local communities and conservation work. As you rest, imagine a quiet alpine meadow at dawn. Dew clings to small flowers, a bird glides silently above, and the air feels clear and cool. Life here moves gently, adapted not through force, but through patience and balance. As your breathing becomes slow and steady, let us drift into the human side of mountain landscapes. For thousands of years, people have lived among peaks and valleys, shaping cultures that reflect patience, resilience, and deep connection to the land. Mountain communities often develop a strong sense of independence. Steep terrain and changing weather can isolate villages for weeks or months, encouraging self-reliance and close cooperation. These conditions shape social bonds that are often tighter than in lowland regions. Architecture in mountain regions reflects environmental wisdom. Homes are built with thick walls to retain heat, sloped roofs to shed snow, and materials sourced locally from stone or wood. This traditional design supports energy efficiency long before modern sustainability became a global topic. Clothing traditions also adapt to altitude. Wool, felt, and layered fabrics are common in mountain cultures, providing insulation and durability. Patterns and colors often reflect regional identity, turning practical garments into cultural symbols. Food in mountainous areas is shaped by limited growing seasons. Hearty meals based on grains, dairy, and preserved foods provide energy and warmth. Cheese-making traditions in the Alps, Andes, and Himalayas are not only culinary art, but economic foundations that support tourism and regional trade. Festivals in mountain regions often follow seasonal rhythms. Celebrations mark planting, harvest, and the return of herds from high pastures. These gatherings strengthen community ties and preserve oral histories passed down through generations. Spiritual beliefs frequently center on mountains themselves. Peaks are seen as protectors, ancestors, or sacred spaces. Even today, many communities perform rituals to honor mountains, asking for safety, good weather, and balance between humans and nature. Trade routes historically followed mountain passes. The Silk Road crossed ranges and valleys, linking cultures and economies across continents. Mountain geography shaped the flow of ideas, technologies, and goods, quietly influencing global history. Language can also reflect mountainous life. Many mountain languages include detailed vocabulary for snow, slopes, and weather patterns. This precision shows how closely daily life depends on understanding the environment. In modern times, mountain regions balance tradition with change. Education, technology, and infrastructure bring new opportunities, while tourism provides income through hiking, skiing, and cultural travel. Sustainable development aims to preserve identity while supporting economic growth. Mountaineering has become a global pursuit, blending adventure with personal challenge. While professional climbers push physical limits, local guides play essential roles, sharing knowledge and ensuring safety. This partnership supports education and livelihoods in high-altitude communities. Music and storytelling remain central to mountain cultures. Songs echo across valleys, and stories are told slowly, often by firelight. These traditions offer comfort and continuity, especially during long winters. Younger generations may move to cities for education or work, while older generations maintain traditions. Many communities now find ways to blend modern careers with ancestral roots. Despite modern challenges, mountain cultures continue to inspire. Their emphasis on balance, respect for nature, and patience resonates in a fast-paced world. Visitors often leave with a sense of calm and perspective shaped by the landscape. As you listen, imagine a quiet mountain village at night. Lights glow softly from windows, snow falls gently, and distant peaks stand watch under the stars. Life here moves at a different pace, guided by the land itself. As the night deepens and your thoughts slow even further, let us gently turn toward the role mountains have played in human exploration and discovery. Long before satellites and digital maps, mountains marked the edges of the known world, inviting curiosity while demanding respect. For early explorers, mountains were both obstacles and guides. Ranges formed natural borders between regions, shaping how civilizations expanded and interacted. Crossing a mountain pass often meant entering a new climate, culture, and way of life. These transitions left lasting impressions on trade, language, and shared knowledge. Cartography advanced slowly in mountainous regions. Steep terrain, unpredictable weather, and limited access made accurate mapping difficult. Early maps often showed mountains as vague shapes or symbolic ridges, reflecting how mysterious these areas once seemed. Scientific exploration of mountains accelerated during the Enlightenment. Naturalists began to study how plants changed with elevation, laying the groundwork for modern ecology. Observing mountain environments helped scientists understand climate zones, adaptation, and biodiversity. Geologists turned to mountains to unlock Earth's history. Layered rock formations revealed timelines stretching back millions of years. By studying folds, faults, and uplifted strata, scientists learned how continents move and collide, shaping the planet slowly over time. Mountains also played a crucial role in astronomy. High elevations offered clearer skies with less atmospheric interference. Some of the world's most advanced observatories are located on mountain peaks, where scientists study stars, galaxies, and cosmic radiation in near silence. In medicine and physiology, mountains provided insight into how the human body responds to extreme conditions. High-altitude research helped advance understanding of oxygen transport, endurance, and adaptation, contributing to medical knowledge used worldwide. Exploration was not limited to science. Artists, poets, and photographers ventured into mountains seeking inspiration. Romantic-era painters captured dramatic peaks and shifting light, influencing how society perceived wilderness and natural beauty. Mountains also challenged technological innovation. Building roads, railways, and tunnels through ranges required engineering breakthroughs. Projects like alpine railways and mountain tunnels became symbols of human ingenuity and economic connection. In modern times, satellites and drones have transformed mountain exploration. Scientists can now monitor glaciers, landslides, and vegetation changes remotely, improving safety and environmental planning while reducing human risk. Mountains remain sites of discovery even today. New species are still being identified in remote ranges, and geological research continues to refine our understanding of Earth's processes. These discoveries remind us that the planet still holds quiet mysteries. Cultural exploration has grown alongside scientific research. Travelers seek authentic experiences in mountain regions, learning from local traditions and supporting sustainable tourism models that value preservation over exploitation. Education programs now bring students to mountains to study climate science, ecology, and geography firsthand. These experiences foster respect for nature and encourage future generations to protect fragile environments. Despite advances in technology, mountains retain their sense of mystery. Weather can change suddenly, and landscapes can feel vast and timeless. This balance between knowledge and humility continues to draw explorers of all kinds. As you rest, imagine a lone path winding upward through mist. Each step reveals something new, yet the mountain remains quietly itself. Exploration here is not about conquest, but about understanding and patience. As your thoughts drift more freely, let us gently explore how mountains live not only on the land, but also in the human imagination. Across centuries, peaks have appeared in art, stories, and dreams, shaping how people understand beauty, challenge, and silence. In early art, mountains were often symbolic rather than realistic. Medieval paintings placed them in the background as abstract shapes representing distance or the unknown. Over time, artists began to observe mountains more closely, capturing their textures, shadows, and changing light. During the Romantic era, mountains became central subjects. Painters depicted vast alpine scenes filled with mist and towering cliffs. These works invited viewers to feel small, yet connected, evoking awe rather than fear. This shift helped change how societies valued wilderness and natural landscapes. Photography later deepened this connection. Early mountain photographers carried heavy equipment into remote regions, patiently waiting for light and weather to align. Their images brought distant peaks into homes and galleries, shaping global appreciation for mountain beauty and conservation. Literature has long used mountains as powerful metaphors. Characters retreat to mountains to seek clarity, cross them to mark transformation, or struggle against them to reveal inner strength. These stories resonate because mountains reflect internal journeys as much as physical ones. In mythology and folklore, mountains often guard secrets or wisdom. Dragons, spirits, and guardians are said to dwell within them. These tales may reflect ancient respect for landscapes that could provide resources or danger depending on how they were treated. Modern films and documentaries continue this tradition. Sweeping aerial views of mountain ranges are used to convey scale, freedom, and isolation. Even brief scenes of peaks can signal emotional turning points in storytelling. Music also draws inspiration from mountains. Slow, expansive melodies mirror wide horizons, while traditional mountain music often echoes across valleys, using rhythm and repetition to match the land's natural acoustics. In children's stories, mountains frequently represent challenges to overcome. These narratives gently teach patience and resilience, showing that progress happens step by step rather than all at once. Digital media has expanded how mountains are experienced. Virtual tours, immersive videos, and relaxation content allow viewers to explore peaks from home. These experiences support mental well-being, offering calm and perspective without physical strain. Social media has reshaped mountain storytelling as well. Images of sunrise summits and winding trails inspire travel and tourism, while also raising awareness about environmental protection and responsible exploration. Despite these modern tools, the essence of mountains in imagination remains unchanged. They are places where time feels slower, where silence speaks, and where perspective shifts naturally. As you listen, imagine standing at a quiet overlook, watching clouds drift below a distant ridge. No words are needed. The scene tells its own story, just as mountains always have. As the calm of the night deepens, let us turn gently toward the future of mountains and the careful work of protecting them. These vast landscapes may appear unchanging, but they are delicate systems that respond quietly to human choices and natural shifts. Mountain environments are often among the first places where environmental change becomes visible. Glaciers retreat slowly, snowlines rise, and seasonal patterns adjust in subtle ways. Scientists study these changes closely because mountains act as early indicators of broader shifts affecting the planet. Conservation efforts in mountain regions focus on balance. Protecting ecosystems while supporting local economies requires thoughtful planning. Sustainable tourism plays an important role, allowing people to experience mountain beauty while minimizing environmental impact. National parks and protected areas safeguard many of the world's most iconic ranges. These spaces preserve biodiversity, protect water sources, and provide opportunities for education and research. Visitors are encouraged to move gently through these environments, leaving minimal trace. Community-led conservation is especially powerful. Local residents often possess deep knowledge of the land, passed down through generations. When conservation programs involve these communities, outcomes tend to be more effective and culturally respectful. Technology supports modern preservation efforts. Satellite imagery tracks glacier movement forest health, and land use changes. Early warning systems help predict landslides or avalanches, improving safety while reducing disruption to natural processes. Climate adaptation strategies are becoming increasingly important. Mountain regions rely on snow and ice for water, agriculture, and energy. As conditions shift, communities explore new approaches to water management and seasonal planning. Education also plays a vital role. Schools and research centers in mountain regions teach students about ecology, geology, and sustainable development. These programs inspire future generations to value and protect high-altitude environments. Despite challenges, mountains remain resilient. Their long geological history reminds us that change can be gradual and balanced when guided with care. Human responsibility lies in ensuring that progress does not disturb this balance unnecessarily. As you rest, imagine a protected mountain valley at dawn. Wildlife moves quietly, streams flow steadily, and human presence feels respectful and light. Preservation here is not about control, but harmony. As this gentle journey comes to a close, allow your thoughts to rest softly among the mountains one last time. We have moved slowly through their formation, their influence on weather, the life they support, and the cultures they shape. We simply pause with them, without needing to learn or remember anything at all. Mountains remind us that time can move differently. Their peaks rise over millions of years, shaped by forces too slow to notice day by day. In their presence, urgency fades. What feels heavy or immediate often becomes lighter when measured against such vast patience. They teach balance without words. Strength and fragility exist together in mountains, just as they do within us. Solid rock can fracture, and gentle snow can reshape entire valleys. Nothing needs to be extreme to be powerful. Mountains also offer perspective. From high elevations, borders disappear, cities become small, and landscapes stretch quietly into the distance. This view invites calm reflection, helping the mind loosen its grip on worries and distractions. For some, mountains are places of adventure and movement. For others, they are places of stillness and rest. Both experiences are valid, and both reveal something essential about how humans connect with nature. Even when unseen, mountains influence daily life. They guide rivers, shape climate, support ecosystems, and provide resources that travel far beyond their slopes. Their quiet work continues whether we notice it or not. In a fast, noisy world, mountains stand as reminders that silence can be meaningful, that slowness has value, that not everything needs to be explained or improved. As you listen now, imagine the soft hush of wind moving across a ridge. The sky is wide, the ground steady beneath you. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. If sleep is close, let it arrive naturally, like evening settling into a valley. Wakefulness remains. Let it be gentle and unhurried. The mountains will remain patient and calm long after this moment passes. Thank you for sharing this quiet time among the peaks. Rest well.